Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel Gateway to Learn Together. As from today's video, you might have understood through the thumbnail that it is all about B1, B2 US visa documents and interview. If you are wondering how to at least apply for a US visitor visa, then you can go to our channel and watch this video, how to apply USA visitor visa. This is a detailed video in English version, and we have received so many good views as well as comments, and that is why, because of the demand, we also generated another video in Urdu and Hindi language. And now we received a lot of comments that people wanted to know B1, B2 US visa documents and interview. But before that, you must keep in mind that DS160 form is the initial step to fill before even wondering for the documents or interview questions, because it is very necessary step which lets you know about some other questions and interview preparations and documents preparations, because we already have mentioned in our videos that in DS160 form at least you are not asked to attach any documents. It is just an electronic online form, and you have to fill or type or maybe check yes and no in that format. So you can watch DS160 form full guidance on our channel. So let me go to the today's video purpose, which is B1, B2 US visa documents and interview. Before that, please remember B1, B2 US visitor visa is a wide category from all the types of US visa, because it covers very different wide categories of your purpose of visit, and you can avail on the same B1, B2 visa. For example, tourism, medical, business, consultancy, short stay, leisure, friends, relatives, weddings. So you see there are a lot of wide categories in B1, B2 visa, and you can do all these things based on the same B1, B2 visa. And also there are some amazing facts about B1, B2 visa. That is, it is the shortest and fastest interview visa category. And as my experience, like even the minimum interview duration can be 90 seconds. Yes, this is true, 100% true. Or maybe they can be lengthened to maximum from range 7 minutes, and the decisions are given at the spot. If you do not know about this fact, this is a true fact, 100%, that you will be given your decision at the spot just after your interview. You just finish that. And there are two receipts which are associated with B1, B2 visa, or maybe in the US embassy. If you receive yellow receipt, which means there is a rejection, and they also have described few of the reasons as well, which is a good thing. And there is a green receipt, which means that your visa is approved, and you will be given this receipt at the spot after your interview. And do not worry about yellow receipt. Many people receive yellow receipt, but still they can apply for the visa next time. So let us focus us on our video purpose, which is all about documents and interview. Please, I request you that if you do not have time, please skip this video, and once you find a good time and space, then come back and watch this video, because you have from here you have to listen everything very carefully, because many things are interconnected, and I will try my best to explain all these things in a very easy language for you today. So before that, I jump into B1, B2 US visa documents and interview tips to explain things about that. There is a one section in the form DS160 form, and where they ask you person in Tahiti paying for your trip, and then you have to choose few of the one of the situation of these following situations they have given you. So you have to choose. For example, they have given you it is a self-paid trip, or maybe other person is paying, or maybe your present employer is paying, maybe your employer in the US is paying, or maybe other company or organizations from your country or maybe are in the US, are like they are inviting you. But you have to pick only one situation, and I think that is the main game change in the whole US visa application process, because whatever situation you select here, it depends on that situation, and then there are some interconnected things about documents and interview questions. So that is why I will explain to you very briefly in a very easy language that how in each situation you can encounter some questions, as well as how you can prepare your documents, and what are the some probability of the higher chances of getting visa or maybe lower chances of uh, you know not getting that visa. Uh, and so let me jump to that. So your documents and interview questions depends on the following situations, like the main question, who is paying for your trips, which is which is being asked in the DS160 form. So in the next, I will discuss these situations which they have given you in the DS160 form one by one, and then we will discuss that what documents you need and what is the probability of your visa approval and what questions you can encounter and what documents you can prepare. So these are like five numbers I have separately mentioned once again, like self-paid trip, other person is paying for your trip, your present employer is paying, employer in the US maybe, or other company or ORG organization. So let us discuss the situation one. For example, if you choose self, you say like I am paying myself for this trip, for this visit to the US, which means there is a very high probability of rejections of the visa. I'm not discouraging you, but this is the fact because then your case become very strict in front of the consular. Because when we say like self, now they wanted to know who are you, like who are you, what is your background, and especially your financial security is parallel connected to this situation like self. So that is why you have to mainly focus on your documents preparation, which is based on your bank statements, your personal background. Of course, they will check your personal background as well. And again, your financial security, some other, concerns relative to your financial security. Because you said you are paying by yourself. So that is why the financial is very important in this aspect. But once again, in the interview questions, other than all those common questions, for example, what is your purpose of visit to US? When you are going to US? When you will be coming back to your country? These are like very common questions. Of course, in each situation they will ask you. But this is the main question of strong tie. You might have heard every time this thing that how to show your strong tie that you will come back to your country. And this question, of course, belongs to all the situations, whatever you choose. But step by step, we will also see that there are some situations where this question just disappear because it depends on the situation. So, because it is a self-paid trip, your financial security is the main thing in documents as well as in interview question. The main question is your strong tie, like how you will show your strong tie that you will come back to your country. Now you have to do some homework on this thing because it is not an easy task. It is not just easy saying in front of the consular I am paying myself and I just wanted to go for a year to US and I will come back to my country. It is not that easy because they wanted to hear from you some logical aspects. Maybe you are very wealthy, of course, that is why you are going on a self-paid trip. But of course, they wanted to know that after you go to the US on self-paid trip, what is the strong tie that you will come back to your country? So now there are something. For example, in the interview, you can tell them like very clearly and honestly, might be you are a businessman, you are a good businessman in your own origin of country. So maybe you have a small business or maybe a medium sized business or large business, and that is why of course that business, that work is very important to you, and that is a strong tie because you will come back to your own country because you have to look over your business. You are not going to leave your business in some other's hand. So you have a lot of responsibilities, and that is why you will come back to your own country after this visit to US. That can be one aspect, for example. And why I said business, because I'm assuming if you are self-paying your trip to US, of course you have good financial aspects and financial security, so you can be a businessman. This is just a situation. So the other aspect can be like family, because you have your whole family in your origin country and you do not have any family in the US. That will be a good point. Because if you say I have family in US, then they have some suspicious kind of questions you can encounter. So might be after your business responsibility, you have your big family to take over. Maybe you are the eldest son, daughter, take care of your family, a guardian, and that is why you have family in your origin country, and you have to come back to take care of your family. And maybe some other responsibilities you can show, and maybe your job. If you are not a businessman, might be you have a good job. It can be a government job, it can be a semi government job, also it can be a private job as well. So you can tell them honestly, and you have to explain a little bit, like not say only yes and no, and like behaving very strict in front of them. You can tell them like very softly, politely. For example, I have a business, I have a job. For example, I work in this department of government entity, maybe, or maybe semi-government, or maybe private, and that is why I'm of course coming back to my country, and I have responsibilities to take over after I finish this trip to US. So these are some of the situations, other than some of the common questions like what is your purpose of visit, what are your arrival dates and departure dates. These are like very common questions. Of course they will ask you if you have planned the flight. Might be you can show them the flight round trip flights details, accommodations, your living cost, expenses which you will cover in the US, how many days you will be staying in US. For example, they can ask you, and I will suggest you, when they ask you how many days you are planning to stay in US, do not jump directly into saying, for example, I will be staying 3 months, I will be staying 1 month. The shorter the trip first time, the better you have good clarity in front of them. Because I assume and I believe a trip of few weeks, for example 3 weeks, is very enough as a self-paid trip to just for the tourism, leisure, or maybe some other purposes that you are going to meet someone, or maybe some businesses, whatever purpose you have. So this is the situation one when you say I am self-paying my trip. So this question is in the DS160 form. And the next situation where you pick in the DS160 form saying any other person is paying for your trip. Now the situation is changed as a whole, because it is not you who is paying, but it is someone other who is paying. That is why the bank statements, you might have noticed, the bank statements have disappeared, because they will not ask you to necessarily provide the bank statements of that person, or to bring the personal background of that person to them. If someone other is paying for your trip, for example, it can be your relative who is paying for your trip, your father, your other guardian, because uh, he has good financial state, so that is why he is paying for your trip. So but now you see your document situation has changed, because now they are more focused that okay, if someone other is paying your trip, what aspect he or she will cover of your trip to US. For example, they are covering your tickets round trip. They have issued you round trip tickets, and then they also have booked some accommodation for you, and you can provide the evidence of that as well. And they are also covering your living cost. So they will be more focused on these things which are necessary for you to fulfill your trip in the US, based on someone other is paying for you. And they will less focus on your personal statement or your financial statement or your bank statement, because you are not even paying for your own self. So you see how the documents situation has changed in this situation too. And now jump into the questions, like interview questions. Now we have situation two, someone other is paying. Of course, now they also want to, in this situation as well, they are still stick to this main question, which is like very much important for them, for the counselor to figure out how you will show the strong tie that you will return back to your country, because you are not even wealthy or maybe good in financial aspect, and someone is paying for yourself. So they wanted to make sure that you finish your short trip to US on B1 B2 visit visa, and then you come back to your country. So which means you can be a student, or maybe you can show that you still have your postgraduate studies continuing in the origin of your country. You can show them your transcripts, maybe your some results, Or maybe you also have a good small job, and that is why you will come back. Or maybe you have family to take care, and that is why you are not planning to, or maybe you are not intending to stay long in the US and you will come back. So these can be some of these situations which you can politely talk to them and negotiate with them, and to and try to make them satisfy about your situation. So, but of course, again, in the interview question, other than some other common questions that, okay, like your general information, your full name, your personal information, and when you are supposed to travel to US, this will also be the main question for them to stick to it, and they will try to figure it out. And now, situation three. For example, in the DS160 form, you have chosen that your present employer is paying for the whole trip to the US, for instance. So let us see that what are some situations, both in documents as well as in interview questions, which might change for you. Now, because you choose your present employer is paying for your trip, now they will be focusing more in the aspect of documents. They will be focusing more on some supporting letters. For example, your organization has stated these things very clearly, that you are XYZ employer in their XYZ company, and that is why they are supporting your travel to US for XYZ purpose. Maybe you are going to attend some business conference on behalf of your present employer organization, and so they will state all these things in the documents, in the supporting letters, we say. And then they also covering your expenses, for example, your travel, your accommodation, because if the present employer is paying for you, of course they need to give you the assurity that they will cover your whole short trip to the US. Or maybe you are dividing the expenses 50-50. So that is why in this case as well, there are less chances that they will be focusing on your financial statement or bank statement, but they will be focusing more on your organization who is paying for your trip. So you see the situation has changed in the aspect of documents. And then the questions, interview questions in in this situation, because they will be more focusing on you, that why your present employer is sending you to US for XYZ purpose. For example, XYZ business conference to attend on behalf of employer. Maybe they are more interested to know about your personal background check, your criminal record, and then your profile strength. Like these will be their first priorities to make sure that who you are. They will be more interested in yourself. Maybe you have good profile strength, you have good qualifications, you have good expertise, you have achieved, very good reputation in your company, and that is why your company is sending you to US to attend XYZ business conference on behalf of your employer. And that is why the situation has changed. And now they are sure, of course, they might have good reputation that you will come back to your country because your present employer is sponsoring you. And of course they will also check the good reputation of that organization as well. So they will be more focused on your present employer, their reputation, their personal, maybe you can say, profile, where they stand, and then they will be personally interested in you. They will figure it out that who you are and why you were selected to attend XYZ business conference in the US. So yeah, this is how they will try to deal with you. So you can, here you have the chance to explain as much as you can about your skills, about your extraordinary activities, your achievements, your business, your as an employee profile. So you can brag about that as well, but of course very politely. And then you can of course show them a strong tie that you are of course coming back to your country because you have a good job and you have good reputation in the in your present employer organization. And now if we have four-fifth situation as a combined, for example, some employer or maybe any other organization in the US is paying for your trip, is sponsoring your trip to US for a short stay. Now let us see that how the situation change. But first, let us know that what are these aspects that why some employer or some organization in the US is inviting you. Maybe because they have some business negotiations with you. You have good business networking with them. in US from your origin country to US. You are good business friends, networking, and maybe they are inviting you to attend some conferences, seminars. And because the organization who is sponsoring your trip is based in US, now the case is very, very strong, and they have less suspicious questions for you to encounter, because mostly they will be checking the personal profile of the employer or organization in US, and then they will also get to know verification from them as well before your application, before your interview, sorry, based on your application you have put in the DS160 form. So they will be more focusing in terms of documents aspect. They will be more focused on invitations letters, the invitations letters you have received from that XYZ employer or organizations in the US, and then expenses covered proof. Like, this can also be a letter where they have stated that they are covering your travel trip, round travel trip, and your accommodation, meals, everything for 15 days, for 20 days, it depends. So their focus will be shift on these documents. And then of course, in terms of questions, when you are standing in front of the consular, his or her question is more now based on your personal background check, your criminal record, and your profile strength, because they are more curious to know that, okay, who are you and what expertise you have, and that is why the XYZ company or organization in US is sponsoring you to attend XYZ purpose in the US. So, and of course they will make sure that they have a double verification check from the XYZ employer in US, and of course they will have good a surety that you are coming back to your country once you are done with this business negotiation with them. So that is why their focus shift to personal background, criminal record, and profile strength. And again, you can explain that why you are chosen to attend or why you are chosen to be invited in the US, because you have extraordinary profile, you are a good employer, you are a good businessman, or maybe you have good ideas, or you are about to have a final decision for any XYZ product with the employer in the US, and that is why you are going to US to visit for a short stay. So now the situation has totally changed. Now, these were all the situations I have tried my best to explain, and these all were from the DS160 form, and it depends on who is paying for your trip. And remember, that is the game changer. From here you actually have to prepare your interview questions and documents, and everyone has different situations based on whatever they have selected, and of course accordingly that they have to strengthen their case. And in the interviews they can explain as much as they can. Of course, be polite, stay very confident, and this is how the interview only takes 90 second to 7 minutes in B1 B2 US visa. So I hope this video has might help you about B1, B2 US visa documents and interview preparation. And now you might have understood that why DS160 form, uh, this specific section was very important for us to understand, so that we can prepare better for our interview as well as we can prepare our documents. But please remember, I might have uh, assumed few of the situations, and the tips are based on both experiences and the counselors, you can say the counselors probability. But of course everyone has different situations. You can leave comment on our videos for your specific situation so that we can help you the best. Thank you very much. Subscribe our channel Gateway to Learn Together, and we post fully funded opportunities, scholarships, seminars, jobs abroad, visas, application process guidance, and we do all these things voluntarily, and we do not ask for any cost, and we do not promote any paid content. We are just a volunteer team, and we are trying our best to help you out. I hope this video has might help you, and you can leave comment for your specific situation so that we can help you. Thank you very much. Signing off.